Good morning, everybody. I'm glad that everybody's in here. Those of you that come in here and have spent 12 weeks with me, it's that means a lot. That means a lot to me. All those that came in, and I want you to know that I have some other series coming up, and week 12 of 12 for intentional living course has more or less helped me out a lot too. Not just I don't do this to benefit myself, but it did benefit me. And it's a message that I like to share about intentional living. So, where are we going to go from here? If you've been in here and you've gone with this 12-week course right here and you've seen some of it and you've missed some of it, that's okay. Because you can go to my profile and hit Linktree, and all of them are separate. Andrew and Artyom, welcome. I'm glad that you're here this morning, and I hope everything's well and that you're staying safe. Alicia, hi, how you doing? That's Alicia. You've been one of the people that have been through this whole 12 week. I hope that it's done good for you. I'm happy. Good morning, Farm Girl. You've been here a lot over the last 12 weeks, and I hope that this has benefited you. I'm really happy to see the people who've come in here off and on, and we're gaining a lot of views. And it's just a message that changing your life sometimes is just a decision that you write down. When you write down that this is what I want to be, that's the beginning of making change in life. Because a good life's a decision away. It's just a few actions away. You know, sometimes if you think about your life as a dry erase board, right? And if you get a new day and you get a new peace of mind, you get to erase that board. That's what a new day is. It's just a reset. It's just a reset. Thank you, Farm Girl. So when you think of your life like that as a dry erase, what's still on it from yesterday? What's still on it from the past? What little bits of trauma do we want to find out and overcome? And accept ourselves for how we are, and accept ourselves as a machine that's capable of moving forward beyond intentions and possibilities that we didn't imagine. That just starts with mindset. There's a few areas in my life that I can't believe that are true. And one of them is sometimes the work that we take on, the work that my crew can do. Not that I had any doubts, but it's intentional work. It's intentional planning that we put in. When we take on a project, we work hard on that project. When we take on a new mindset, we put effort toward it. And we go into a new day without carrying our grudges, without carrying any type of hate and goodness. If you want your life to be good, then you concentrate on good. Your life is your thoughts, and you're going to need tools to help do that. And here we're talking about living intentionally from day one. And that means that our mindset is going to be all about what we can do. It's all about lifting our self-esteem, finding why we have doubts, not listening to our critic, going into our next day with if our brain's a dry erase board, erase some of the things that probably aren't true that you think about yourself, right? Control what happens today by the way you think about it. You can intentionally change your day, visualizing your goals and your dreams and motivating yourself, and journaling gives you a path to clarity. That's what journaling is. When we talked about reflecting, and what reflection was, how if you look in the mirror, you can see all the details of yourself. When you journal about something or your problems, or I have all this to do, how about that? You take if you think I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, write it right here. Just write it out. And you can put over here what I have to do, what I need to do, all that. When you do that and you look at it, it's not that big because it's manageable. We're able to itemize it. We're able to, when we view a list, we can itemize it. That's why we write a list when we go to the grocery store. You don't just open your refrigerator, take a snapshot. Maybe some people can, but most people probably can't. We're going to write list. We're going to write lists of what we want to change about ourselves. We're going to write lists of what I think a good boundary should be. And journaling prompts, they're not a joke because they really work. When you ask yourself, what am I avoiding? We were talking about avoidance, and one of them being a crowd, remember, a couple of weeks ago. And when you don't go somewhere because you're just avoiding, right? And you find out afterward how fun it was. And you're like, oh, I should have went. Yeah, I should have went. And you could have went. Sometimes our self-esteem, and we have we get socially shy and things like that, all from self-doubt. When we have friends out there and people that want us to be part of their life, there's families that want us to be in their life. There's people that want your attention, and there's a lot of good ones out there. They're not all bad. But having good boundaries in life, thinking about this whole course from the beginning to the end of where am I autopilot? What am I dealing with just because I am so used to it that I don't even realize that it bothers me anymore? Those are some things that we want to reflect on. We're intentionally putting up with some things that we wouldn't tolerate if they weren't here and showed up tomorrow. But they've been around for so long. We just pass it by. We pay no mind to it. And we think we don't pay any mind to it, but it still bothers us. And those are things where we are just reacting. And a no reaction sometimes is avoidance. So it is a reaction. When they say, I ran into people in the past, and I'm not a debater, and something could come up and they'd be like, I'm not a believer. Well, in anything. And they would be a believer. They would be a believer of non belief. So we choose our words today. We wake up with an intentional way. We have yesterday's dry erase board in our minds, erased. And we're going to go out and make our day happen instead of reacting to what's going to happen to us. Make our day happen. You're going to be in traffic, find a good radio show. If you have some pressure at work, work on what's due next. If you got some pressure in life, focus on that and look for the resources that you trust in life. We have more resources than we realize. Some of us, our ego gets in the way where we don't ask for help. Sometimes I don't have to, I don't need anybody's help. I can do this on my own. So these are things that we sort through. I couldn't run my business on my own. I couldn't handle a lot of my duties on my own. And so we find help with people that we trust, with boundaries. So understanding the difference between living by default or by design is understanding that your perspective of things is what's running your life, that your thoughts, what you're thinking, what you're bringing into today is 100% how your day is going to go. So you're either a bag of reaction or you're managing what's going on. You're looking at it in a perspective that's acceptable to you. And if it's not acceptable to you, you're going to figure out how to not allow that to repeat in your life. We have repeat behaviors, habits, mental thinking. Sometimes we go into work dreading some things. Go into work looking forward to accomplishments that you're going to have. Break down your day in some easy ways. If you're feeling overwhelmed, put yourself in a place of peace. Write down what you're overwhelmed about. If it's family, friends, you'll realize when you write down on a piece of paper what's bothering you, and if you really look at it instead of your mind jumping all over the place at all those problems, you'll see like, wow, that's not much. Make time for yourself on the weekends. Make time for what you want to do. This is how we're going to carry and integrate this 12 weeks into our life. Yes, start your day with thoughts of what you're grateful for. Even one thing. When you come home at night, think about what went right. Think about having your favorite supper when you get home. So today being the last day of this entire series, the 12 weeks, that makes me smile because I got an accomplishment out of it. Um, um, and what I got out of it was more things to journal about, some new friends, some names I see in here. But how do we really commit? How do we commit to living a life that's going to be by design? Thank you, Farm Girl. How do I commit to it? Well, commitment starts with a thought and a plan where we're going to write it down. And you can write down, I'm going to commit to these three things, these two things, this one thing to reset myself, to catch myself during negative thinking, to change my thought process on some things, to accept what's in my life right now and look at what parts of it I can make better. And you're going to find the parts of things that you want to make better is just a thought away. It's just a thought away to accept what's in our life or what's not to. Maybe some of it needs boundaries. But integrating good habits in your life is just not your, when you're reflecting, it's just not about your experience. When you're integrating something, it's going to reflect. And when you're journaling, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, it's going to reflect some details of your soul, of who you really are, not who you're trying to be, because everyone else is taken. So when we're finding out and looking deep into ourselves of who are we, you ask some people sometimes, who are you? And they tell you about their job, that that's what they do. They think that they're your job. But when somebody says, who are you? What do you say? You know, do you say I'm a hobbyist? I like going panning with my son for gold or fishing. I like to spend my time out on the water. It's my favorite thing. I like to spend time with my family. I'm a amateur cook. Where do you put your time and energy? So who, when you're knowing about who you are, that's who you become when you leave work, right? And you're on your weekends, not your days off. What truly matters to you? Your um, here we are. Who are you really? It was week 2. Remember this? We did our identity and our self awareness of who you really are, and sometimes in autopilot in life, we get away from that. As you wake up, go to work, get your coffee, this, that, it starts to take away from all these things you enjoyed during adolescence, during college, during um, uh, high school, or in your early 20s and your 30s, or thing. See, life sometimes grabs a hold of us and it becomes all these things we have to do. And then we just are reacting to them. Wake up, eat, get coffee, drive to work, go to work, get a paycheck. That's what life is. Because we become our jobs. We get on autopilot. And if it's not happening to you, it's happening to everybody in a little bit of a way. But one day you get tired and you get overwhelmed and you don't know why you're tired. You don't know why you're exhausted. This is where journaling comes in. It's just been okay for me to no longer go to the fish market. It's been okay now that I don't go do this every Saturday like I used to do. It's okay that I don't meet up with these friends on this Sunday. It's okay that I don't take that one weekend to my favorite place or go see the cherry blossoms ever again. Because we think that life is in control of us. That's why. Because we think that we're too busy with all this stuff in our mind that we're not even sorting out. We had a class a couple weeks ago where we were talking that sometimes our mind's like the junk drawer in our house. We just need to flip it over. And that's what journaling is. To take a junk drawer, flip it over, sort out, and throw half of that stuff out, especially the self-critic. And if you have a self critic, journal your best attributes about yourself. What do I feel I'm good at? What am I really good at? Catch yourself from worrying. You're not here to worry. So you wouldn't want to say I'm good at worrying. What personal habits do I have that keep me down? Do I feel overwhelmed? Do I feel exhausted? Do I feel a sense of doom? Do I feel something's going to happen? Try to tie that back to something in your life that you didn't understand, right? So we all have fears. And fear, you can't go up it, you can't go around it, you can't push it to the side. But one thing with fear, I'll tell you, you can go through it. You can go through it. When you face your fears, you can just head straight on through it and realize that there was nothing there to hurt you. There's nothing there to hurt you. Only you are there to keep yourself from getting hurt. And again, that's where our natural mind and just our DNA is constantly scanning for danger. Sometimes we see people, places, and things and experiences as danger, and they're not. They're actually some things where people can enjoy. It's a natural to have fear of heights. It's natural to have fear of jumping off of a cliff. Those are natural fears. But it's not natural to avoid being your authentic self. You can't be afraid of being accepted for being you. And the person that needs to accept you would be you so you can be yourself. So avoidance of yourself, and this is a reason I can't become myself because I'm too busy working. I got all of this things going on. I take care of an elderly person. I do this and that. We find these reasons to be okay. That's what living by default is. When instead we can make time for all this that we have to do and skip what we don't really have to do. We can make time to take care of our pets or our elderly parents. We make time to take care of our responsibilities. But most importantly, we take time to identify ourselves, to integrate ourselves and our lives into healthy habits that promote our minds and our bodies and our thoughts. Remember, we're talking about recipe, with a good recipe of sleep, a good recipe of food, a good recipe of laughter, reading books, finding new hobbies, rekindling some old desires that we used to have, going to places that make us feel comfortable where we're comfortable. Not scanning around us to see if other people are comfortable, but truly making ourselves comfortable. There's times in life, well, I'm not going to do that because this person might not like us, make them uncomfortable. Walking on eggshells, you got to stop that. You can't walk on eggshells, and you can't blame it on that person that you say, well, I would do this. That's why I don't tell you things. That's why I don't do this and that. That's no reason. When you're authentic self, you say what you feel in a kind way. When you're authentic self, you do and take yourself to places that you enjoy. When you're your authentic self, you're magneted like a magnet to people that are going to accept you. When you're fake and you lie into yourself and you're not really doing what you're here to do, it gets confusing. Then the avoidance comes in. Then you're tired. Then you're overwhelmed. So what to live intentionally means that you're going to, on purpose, make plans. You're going to make things happen in your life in an intentional way. And if you journal about it, you can see where you are on autopilot on some things. And that's not going to be a final destination for you. It's going to be a routine or a habit. Journaling is a routine, but you want it to be a habit. Thinking bad about ourselves, having low self-esteem, that is a mental habit. Write down what's good about yourself. Everybody is made by the same sources. And you can't live intentionally if you don't know yourself. So you need to have objectives in your life that build honest awareness. How did I feel about my last day off? If you had 3 days off, what would you do? Have you ever had people ask you, if you win the lottery, what would you do? We have that one figured out. Quit my job. That's the first thing people probably say. Quit my job. My life would be great. You would just have millions of new problems, technically. But think about that. Think about your last day off. How did it go? How was your last evening? How did it go? How did you spend it? Was it intentional? Were you people pleasing? Did your phone ring? Did you shut your phone off? I went out last night and shut my phone off. I'm not saying you had to be like me, but you got to get away and spend time with yourself and spend time with people that you can tolerate. If I won the lottery, I'd move closer to work, Brian. That's hilarious. And that is working in a job you enjoy, which is a mindset. Brian doesn't have an easy job, but he chooses to have fun at his job. And you know, life's about fun. Have some fun. There's a good journal prompt. When's the last time you had fun? But let's get serious about our intentional living and how to integrate and commit to the 12 weeks that we talked about, okay? So a couple of 6 little things that I wrote up here because I do want you to keep following this course. And I do want you to live an intentional life. And I would really like for you to enjoy some aspects of some things you might have learned in here where maybe you knew them, but sometimes when you're involved in your life, it opens your eyes to things instead of just waking up, going to work, doing this and that. And I would think anybody, especially people that have been in here for 12 weeks, are intentionally changing their lives, which is kudos to you because it's not easy to show up, to listen. Maybe you journal what it is, and to be there and to show commitment. I honor you. I wish I had badges I could give some of the people that have always been in here. But let's look at some of the 6 easy things that we're going to talk about as far as to keep going forward with what we've learned on autopilot. Clarify your intentions. What do we mean by clarifying your intentions? Some easy things that we've already talked about. Clarifying your intentions. What would I like to do in my life? How much would I like to have saved? What can I cut back to save more? Where can I go that I really enjoy, where I fall asleep? That's a good one. Where do you fall asleep? Take a nap. Taking time out yourself. Clarifying your intentions in life is, I would like to have, here's a good one, and this is one that I need to work on. Separating work and life. So what does that mean? Not checking your email maybe on the weekends, not running your phone. That's the one thing that I complain about, is my phone ringing too much. And when we find out who we really are, we may find out that we're somebody that needs an hour or 2 of solitude. And where do we find it? By waking up early in the morning. Waking up early in the morning and having an hour or so to yourself to be grateful, think about what's going right with the good weather coming on. I heard we're going to break records in Virginia next week with our first 90-degree day. What are the things that I can do? I can work in the garden. I can start planning some of the things that I want to do. So clarifying your intentions and clarifying areas in your life where you may be strucken and dragged down by autopilot, by being overwhelmed, by thinking you need all this shit done and none of it has to do with you. That's really where I want you to pull yourself out, right? Playing bingo, that's awesome, Loco. You know, and when some of the things, think of the last time you went out and just had some fun. I played bingo in my early 20s, and it was hard to keep up with one card. And I went with my mother-in-law, God bless her, and she'd be able to do like 9 cards, like bam, 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 man, with those daubers. That's fun. Start small. Starting small. This farm girl, I love bingo too. It's been so long, but starting small is, if this even makes sense, starting small is really big because we all have things that we don't think we can do and they're in our mind, but when you write them down and you put them into small steps, they're very attainable. And you can get more rewards. We were talking last week to break down tasks, break them down the goals into small steps, and create checklists. So when a mechanic's got to check a whole car, that would be like the water pump, the electrical, this and this and that, and all these things that he has to check. It's a checklist, right? Where do we want to check on our health, our life? Kind of like when we go get a physical. Give yourself a mental physical would be nice. So starting small, create a ritual. Rituals and routines. Man, having rituals and routines. Some people go to church every Sunday. Some people have a family dinner every Sunday. Some guys take the same bike ride every day. Some people go on the same walk every day. Those are rituals and routines. And the ones that give you mental awareness about yourself with no music, just going for a walk or just sitting there quiet. Let me ask you a question. Are you able to just sit quiet by yourself for 20 minutes with no phone, without scrolling, without watching TV, without reading anything? Just sit in the quiet, whether it's on a chair outside, a rocking chair or something. Just sit and be quiet and live life. Because that's what living is. After we forged and we eat, we take it easy, we rest. You got to give your mind rest. That's fuel. Are you able to do that? Are you able to break free of just be, farm girl, just be. Just be. I'm able to do that when we go out to our marina because I like to just be. So when it comes to your identity, your story, your stories, your label, your whatever you want to call it, your being, start small about writing about it, create rituals, and have positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is not assuring yourself that you're right about something, but be the bigger man and walk away. Positive reinforcement means you don't always have to be right. You're never going to be right. And positive reinforcement is keeping yourself in check when you get self doubt. Positive reinforcement means I got this, giving yourself a mental high five. I've got this. This is easy. I can do this. And I don't want to live on autopilot. Having a routine with positive reinforcement, creating a ritual routine, small steps helps you clarify your intentions if you read that backwards. If you do all of this way, that would be the end result. It's almost like when you put things forward and back, where are you going to put things into place? What comes first? You have to do certain things. The first thing to live a good life is to let it go and to let it flow. Let it flow with intention about who your real self is, of who you really are. And you have to have honest self-awareness. Explore how your identity comes from different stories, how some of your beliefs might come from who raised you, how some of your ways you feel about yourself might come from your friends or what they say. What do you think? When you're reflecting and you're journaling, you're putting that image of your soul all on paper right in front of you to see, almost as though your face was in a mirror. That's how you find out who you are. Not because somebody goes, Ray is a good cook, or Ray's a big eater, Ray's funny, Ray's this, that. I think I have a sense of humor and I do like to eat. And some of that's true. But the objectives when we're staying intentional and we're integrating into this life are all of these steps, understanding who we are. So who are you is not your job. Who you are is how you identify your place in society. If you're somebody that matters, that has an open perspective, appreciates other people's perspectives. Thank you so much. Appreciating other people for who they are. Appreciating different cultures, appreciating the human race, loving in your own heart. If you can get there, that just takes care of a lot of divisive rhetoric that we hear all the time on TikTok or on the news about the hate, creating separation. Why would we want to separate ourselves from other humans? Why would we want to separate ourselves from the reasonable thought and replace it with grudges or hate or despair or the fear of something we don't understand? And when we were talking about fear, We know we can't go under it, around it. We can't put it to the side. We go through fear. We go through fear. And we make the difference in our own homes. We make our difference in our own society. We make the difference at our own schools. And we love the people around us and we accept them. When you're clarifying your intentions, you're taking what you learned. You're taking what you know. And if you have any doubts about that, that's when you can write about it. That's when you can look at it. Where am I being unintentional? Where am I failing toward not liking somebody? Who am I judging? Am I agreeing with all of this divisive rhetoric that gets us nowhere in society? Am I spending too much time scrolling instead of living? There's a lot of these things that we can ask ourselves. So who you are really is what you're doing with your time. You show me your calendar, your intentional calendar, I'll tell you what your life is. Think about it that way. And you are your boss when you're leaving work. So all of these things here, when we're doing our positive reinforcement, creating rituals, starting small, clarifying instructions, these are little things that we do every day, little habits. Sometimes we have a mental awareness habit. Gosh, I can't stand it when that guy comes over here. Then don't be there when they're there. Don't think about it that way. Find out what you like in things. Don't scan for fear. Don't scan for judgment. Don't scan for anything. Be who you are intentionally, and that'll flow out of you, right? So identifying our self-awareness. Tracking your progress means, I don't think like that anymore. And I can tell you, I have been there, man. Pre-2020, I was probably a people hater. Now I'm a people acceptor because I've accepted myself more. And it's easy to explain and it's easy to do, but it's hard to get a grip and to do it every day habitually, to find things that you love, not just about people. That's where you have to keep them out, and you got to turn all of the way you felt into you. Where I had self-doubt, some self-hate, and things about me where I had failures. But instead of doing the positive things with failures, to realize that failures are part of success. You can't have success without failures. You're just not born at the top of the mountain. You climb it, you fall down, ropes break. Think about what it takes to do anything. There's all kinds of failures, and failures make us better. And I realized that I was making myself better without realizing I did that, right? Change is hard because you love yourself allows you to love differently. So true, so true. Thank you for sharing that. And those are the changes that we're making. So the end of our course, when we want to integrate what we've learned, knowing what truly matters to us, knowing what our purpose and vision is, knowing that we want to embrace the different life that's intentional, to get out of the autopilot, to get out of the everyday in and out. I'm dreaded, I'm worried, I have anxiety. You don't. You can manage a lot of things by journaling and writing down everything on a piece of paper. And this mound of extreme dread you have isn't but words and thoughts. And life can be managed. Life can be managed. You can be your own coach and you can track your progress. So back here, staying accountable. So you can't blame anybody for anything when you're staying accountable, when you're intentionally living your life to make some things happen. Staying accountable means that you're going to keep yourself on track. You're going to make sure, and there's nothing wrong with having affirmations around your house and the door. Stop, remember, have a good day. When you get home, what went right? When you wake up, what am I looking for today that's going to be happy? What one thing today are you going to do that you just can't wait to do it? Well, it might be just getting off work, and that's a good one. But what part of work? Are you engaging yourself to have the highest potential? Are you making decisions from autopilot, or are you making decisions that are intentional? What's it like? So on week 1, we went to waking up from autopilot, talking about what does it mean to live intentionally. And on that week, we were talking to see where we were on autopilot in life. And we were introducing the idea of ownership and responsibility in our lives and in our thoughts, using what we know, whether it's our religion, whether it's the faith that we have, but most importantly, the faith that we have in ourselves. Because only we can make the difference in our life. And we need tools. We need new habits. We need new rituals. We need new ways of thinking. And if yesterday was a dry erase board, erase it. What are you carrying into the next day? What do you keep reminding yourself of about yourself? What do you keep reminding yourself of about something you don't like? Man, that is so, what an honest, I like that. I feel like I have so much to give, but I just can't find my niche to put my energy into it. Anybody want to reply to that? So when we're talking about self-awareness, I want you to think about hiking, honey, is the last time you were somewhere where you just really felt engaged in what you were doing. Apply yourself. If the little bits that you have to give, start giving small. Find yourself small. Um, and there you go, Brian. You can message out Brian and we can brainstorm. And another thing you can do is go to our link tree on my profile and you can watch all of our episodes and shows on intentional living. They're an hour long, or you can watch our shorts. It's just like affirmations and things, but some of it can help skill your mind in a good way. But knowing your core values and what truly matters to you can help you create a niche. And creating niches and looking at it that way means that you're ready to start small to get big, organically grow. And I like that. This great question, and that's something to journal about. So when we were on week 3, we were talking about core values and what matters to you, and how intentional living's built on clear values, because you got to have clarity on what your intentions are, right? To live a life with objection, to help you discover what it is that you believe in, correct? Purpose and vision. So this is goes right in with the question from Hiking Honey. Where are you going? Giving your life a direction. And when I say giving your life a direction, some people think that that's a career. You're not your career. You are, say your name. That's who you are. Giving your life a direction and start forming a personal sense of life purpose in a small way. Somebody said, I have so much that I want to give. Specifically, when you write that down, what is it that you want to give? Care to other people? Do you start by volunteering? You're a good cook, a gardener, whatever it may be, and you don't have to tell us. Start small and form a personal sense of connecting to your purpose in life. And when you're there, you'll know. So you want to distinguish between purpose, goals, and fantasies. Because the purpose in life is where you know you fit in. And goals are things that are written down that you have plans. And fantasies are just things that we wish we had, but we never write them down. And they can come true. And goals and dreams can come true. But I call fantasies something that, one day I'm going to win the lottery. But if you wrote down as a goal to win the lottery, I'm going to buy a ticket on Monday, Thursday, and Friday with these numbers. See, that could be not more just a fantasy, but a goal, because now you're going to apply yourself money and effort and energy into it. But there's some extreme odds. Purpose and vision. There's no odds when you want to become yourself, because when you find your authentic self, it's not 1 in 1 million people that happens to. It happens only, the odds with you are 1 in 1, because you're going to become your own best friend. You're going to be your coach, and you're going to watch podcasts like this, giving your life a direction, forming personal sense of your purpose and your goals, and then crafting a personal mission statement. That was a really good week that we had on week 5. We're talking about crafting our personal mission statement, turning our visions into clear statements that we lived by. We wrote, usable mission statements of who we are and how we feel about ourselves and where we feel that we belong in life. It's our mission statement is based right out of the purpose from deep down within us. We're all a flower. We have to pull the weeds. Anchor your daily choices in the mission that you want to accomplish. If you want to live intentionally instead of living as a bag of reactions, then anchor yourself into that thought. Wake up. I'm not going to react to stuff today. I'm going to go through my life with reasonable thinking. I'm going to let my mind process things a little more before I get upset. I'm going to let my mind process repetitive behavior from people at work, repetitive behavior from neighbors and things around me. I'm going to process it. And I'm not going to let anything else influence me except my own mind. That's what intentional goals and intentional purpose comes from, is that we delay everything. We delay our reactions. We clear our minds like a dry erase board of things that we're carrying into the next day. What you're thinking and your thoughts are today is shaping tomorrow. And intentional living, we know this. We understand that. We remember that. We tell ourselves that. What I'm doing today is forming tomorrow. What I'm thinking right now is building my future. But we have to stay in the present, right? So setting aligned, meaningful goals and journaling, these aren't random solutions in life. What they really are is rituals and routines that we use to keep us reminded in our mind, because other people aren't going to do it, that we are living intentionally. We're living on purpose. We're planning things. We're thinking it out and doing things that need to be done. So, how your calendar, when you look at your calendar, you go into your phone under your settings, what are your intentions? What's on your calendar? Can your calendar that you have, whether it's on your refrigerator, home, or anything, give you an idea of what's important in life? And are you on that? Structure your time intentionally. That is a big one. When you have time, energy, and attention, you're taking control of your day. Your life is built out of your days. Your calendar reflects your true priorities. Your plans this weekend are your true priorities. What you want to do after work are your true priorities. What you're doing habitually is your true priority. Well, you could say, no, it's not. Well, it is, because that's what you're doing. And it's your mindset and some things that you're going to want to change. Teach yourself to structure your time. And there's a lot of time wasters, digital distractions, where we're on autopilot too. So energy management, not just about time, it's about sleep, food, movement, and mental space. That was week 7. That's what we talked about on week 7 here. Um, oh, wow. I think color coding is fun as heck. That would be fun. To see, if you see color, then that would be, I see that. I like that. So that would be a system, because on week 8, we talked about habits, systems, routines, and making intention automatic and fun. And we were talking about building structures that support who we want to be. Structures that support who we want to be. So if we wanted to be healthier, we might buy a bike and ride it twice a week. If we wanted to finally finish a book or just write an article for ourselves to share or read, when we finish that, how does that make you feel? That's something that you can plan. Translate your goals into daily, weekly habits. So if we were talking that no goal's too big, but if you planned it into daily, weekly habits, that sounds pretty small, right? That's breaking it down. What do I need to get to this goal? What do I need to save up for something? What do I need to get my garden to grow? How do I get my garden to be wider and bigger? How do I get my grass greener? How do I just anything you want to change? It's in little small steps. It's routine. It's things at a time. So translate your goals into the daily, weekly habits, and how the systems are stronger than willpower. And that's a fact. Routines and systems and mentally changing yourself and journaling is stronger than willpower. And that's scientific fact. But remember when on week 9 we were talking about boundaries, people, and environments. Yep, I want to live intentional now. I've got this figured out. I'm much happier. But guess what? You open your front door, what is there? There's environments and there's people. And we got to deal with them. And we're trying to live our life with our new mindset of living. I'm gonna be within reason. The first thing you open your door, it's like, fuck you. There's people in your way. There's people messing up your happiness. This is where we need to delay our thought, because when you open your front door and you go out in the world, there's people, there's environments, and we create boundaries of what bothers us about people, things that we're not going to tolerate. But sometimes the boundaries are on us. We may not tolerate about ourselves. When I don't like that I do this, we keep ourselves in check. I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't like it when I do that. So when you have boundaries, you're protecting your purpose from distractions and pressures. That's what a boundary does. It's also a friendly thing that you put on people of this is who I am. These are some of my boundaries. This is who I'm becoming. Would you like to join? Yes. And it helps you to discover a lot of things about yourself. What boundaries do you need to put on yourself? Not being on your phone too much. Not caring if you're late or not. Not worried about if you contact a friend or not engaging in your own life, not dealing with something that you know you had to deal with, but now you're just used to it, so you don't care. Recognize how people and environments affect your intentional living. So if you say I can't do this because of so and so, that would be an excuse, right? That's just your reason to not walk through fear, right? We like to blame everything on everybody else. So boundaries are things that we are allowing in our life. We have more control over some things that bother us than we think we do, because I can't do that because this is my mom. I can't do that because that's my dad. I can't do that because this is my own child. Well, you got to live your life, not theirs. And boundaries come in to protect you from outside pressure, people, and environments that try to muck you up, that bring in some cockadoodle bullshit in your life, or they might have beliefs or political views that you don't agree with. And some people, I think that if you have too many political views and you're out there, who would want to be around you? So when you're dealing with that, of making boundaries, you're also going to deal with what we talked about on week 10, which is a mindset of fear and resistance. Mindset of fear and resistance. That's what that 2 weeks was about. We're dealing with inner battles that stop intentional living. Self-doubt, fear, failure, procrastination. They teach you to respond when you're aware of them. Can you believe that? All those little things can teach you to respond when you're aware of them. When you're aware of your fear, when you're aware of procrastination and self-doubt, resistance, and intention. And we found out procrastination is not such a bad thing. Procrastination, sometimes for some of us, is your body telling you, man, this is too much. Don't go. Don't do this. Rest. Don't do it. Don't get up and shovel the driveway right now. Don't get up and clean your closet. Don't get up and, you like this Saturday, I am going to redo my backyard shed. And something might tell you, don't do it. Relax. We're going to listen to ourselves. And that's a type of procrastination. And some other procrastinations are fear of failure, that you might not do it right. And that would be where you don't do it for 8 Saturdays. Find out where you procrastinate and where the procrastination comes from. Is it because you're a perfectionist and it's not going to be right, so you're just not going to do it? Is it because you're tired? It can be friendly. What other things do you think would resist you from living an intentional life, from just being happy? And I'm telling you, I'm not talking about being optimistically delusional. What I'm talking about is recognizing in our minds that it's okay that we fail sometimes, but recognizing in our mind that we got this. Give yourself a high five. Sleep in a little more. Find out what you like. Engage in things on purpose in your life that you enjoy outside of work and become the person you are and fight your inner battles. Concentrate solely on you. Address it. So those are what we're talking about on week 10. And week 11, we talked about reviewing and reflecting and adjustment. It wasn't that nice that we reflect and review. We just went over the last 12 weeks. Intentional living is all about habits. And we have habits in our lives, and it's true. We have habits in our lives created by our environments. We have habits in our lives created by our family, people. We have habits in our lives created by our work, by our neighbors. We have a lot of habits that are not created by us. We just do them because everyone else is. And that's where autopilot, if enough of that, it builds up as you get older. Your whole fucking life is just given away to all these involuntary habits that you have. Break away from them. Share yourself with life. Instead of life living you, why don't you go live some life? Give yourself permission today to love yourself and give yourself permission today to live a little bit of life. Give yourself permission to take a drive or a bike ride. The weather's getting good. Canoe, kayak, go do something, get involved. And if you don't have anyone to do it with, there's a lot of groups and churches and places that you can go. If you find that you're lonely, first I would say you're lucky. And I don't say that funny, because sometimes through loneliness we find out who we really are and what we enjoy. And I'll say that a different way. If you find you don't have somebody to do something with, there's all kinds of clubs that you can join. Volunteer stuff. Find your niche out there, like that gal said earlier. I would like to find a niche. That's somebody who's looking for a purpose. And how honest is that to want to find your niche in life? You can be much more spiritual when you're alone because you're totally connected into a couple of, there's silence has good deep noise in it because it'll take you. I don't know. It takes me about 11 minutes to get to some good stuff when I try to concentrate on nothing. I'll tell you, I got some stuff that Brian was going to come down here today, but on a personal note, my business is moving just locally, 6 to 10 minutes away from where we are, and my son broke his foot in a couple of spots, and we have some pop-up emergency things to do at work, and I'm going to have a busy day, but I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to plan it, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I'm not looking at it accomplishing things right away. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't need to accomplish things right away. You just need to be aware of deadlines and be aware of responsibilities and hold yourself accountable to what you're in control of. And when you're in control of something, you're also in control of sometimes the feedback that comes out of it. And remember, people's feedback is sometimes not always going to be that great, especially when you work for them and they don't know. And that's one of the things that as we get into next week and some of my new shows, Brian will be putting some stuff on for TikTok. I'm trying to talk. It's going to be tailored to people that work physically and mentally and, carry home a lot of weight they don't talk about, put kids through school, do all the work. And, you got to acknowledge yourself and give yourself high fives and don't look for it from anywhere else and think of all the great things that you've done. I just want everyone to know that I have so appreciated the time that you spent with me over the last 12 weeks. We'll be back with another quick series. And we do have some series coming right up. I'm not going anywhere. So we will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. at the exact same time. And I guess if you want to know what it's going to be about, you just have to show up. It's been a fantastic 12 weeks. Brian, Alicia, Farm Girl, and a lot of people in here. If I didn't say your name, that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. Everybody, have a great weekend. And I'll see everybody on Tuesday. I appreciate you. Most importantly, be good to yourself. Just be good to yourself if you want to do something fun today. Be good to yourself. Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here. See you on Tuesday.